Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week's 5 horror movie fun facts, starring yours truly. So, this is the last Friday of Pride Month, so I really had to think about which movie I wanted to do. And this one I almost didn't pick because, technically speaking, I don't think or know if it was ever intended to be a queer movie. But yeah, let's just get it. Today's movie, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Fun fact number 1. Robert Englund, most famously known as Freddy Krueger, almost did not return as Freddy Krueger. See, what happened was, Robert Englund, his fame skyrocketed after the first. So he went to New Line Cinema like, y'all need to be paying me more. And New Line Cinema was like, no we don't. So he was like, deuces! And at the start of the production, a stuntman was actually performing as Freddy Krueger. After about 2 weeks of that, producer Robert Shea was like, yeah, this is not going to work. Get Robert back in here. And they ran him his money, and the rest is history. Fun fact number 2. Michael J. Fox was actually considered for the lead role of this movie. He couldn't do it because he was in the middle of doing Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, so... Which is fine, because it would have been a totally different movie had he done the film. Fun fact number 3. Okay, so anytime that Freddy was on screen, they added whale song to the background music to give it that dreamy feeling, you know. Fun fact number 4. So, okay, there is a little bit of debate as to whether the homoerotic scenes in this movie were intentional. Now, I don't remember if it was one of the screenwriters or the director. I'm pretty sure it was the director, but he said for years that the homoeroticism was unintentional, which is crazy because even Robert Englund during the making of it was like he specifically directed Mark Patton, the kid that played Jesse Walsh, to scream like a girl. In a documentary that Mark Patton put out within the last few years, he did eventually fess up to like, yeah, it was on purpose. Which leads me to fun fact number 5. Mark Patton was not happy with it. See, the thing is, he was an openly gay actor, okay? During a time when openly gay actors were not, like, being gay in Hollywood in the 80s and being open about it could pretty much was a death knell. No one, it could kill your career. Unfortunately, in this case, it kind of did. Mark really didn't get any more work after Nightmare on Elm Street. And plus, he was young and struggling with his own identity, and it kind of really caused a lot of bad problems. I mean, given for most of the making of the movie, he was in the closet, and this kind of kicked him out. He did a whole documentary about it called Scream Queen. Highly recommend it. Very interesting. But today he's doing fine. He's married, got his own interior design business. He's doing okay. And that's it for today's 5 fun horror movie facts. Next week I'll have another. Will I have another next week yet? Well, I may not have another next week. I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, so if I do it, I will be in another setting. So, other than that, thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday. Welcome to another 5 horror movie fun facts starring yours truly. And though I wasn't here last week, this week I'm going to do something a little special. Today's movie, The Shining, in honor of Shelley Duvall. Fun fact number 1. Okay, so like everybody knows that Shelley Duvall was basically tortured for the making of this movie. Stanley Kubrick wanted her character to have a desperate and hopeless feeling about her, so he basically abused her for the duration of this. But what you may not know is that she wasn't the only one. Scatman Carruthers basically got a lot of it too. In fact, the scene where Jack Torrance, Scatman Carruthers, Stanley Kubrick wanted to do it 70 times. Thankfully, Jack Nicholson talked him out of it and only had him do it 40 times. Which, yeah, I know isn't much better, but Jack Nicholson basically said, look, the dude's 69. Can you not do it so many times? But yeah, 40 was still a lot on him. Yeah. Fun fact number 2. Slim Pickens was actually supposed to play the role of Dick in The Shining after having worked with Kubrick on Dr. Strangelove, of course. But after having worked with Kubrick on Dr. Strangelove, Slim Pickens was like, nah, forget it. I'm not working with him again. Fun fact number 3. The people juice in the elevator scene, which I obviously can't show because guidelines, took weeks, possibly a year to do. I found different reports on how long it actually took to pull off and it was mainly because Stanley Kubrick wasn't satisfied. He kept saying it didn't look like blood, so they had to keep doing it over. Incidentally, the elevator it took about 9 days to fill up, and it was estimated to be about 3,000 gallons, which, as I understand it, is the current record holder for the most people juice used in movies, at least until Markiplier's Iron Lung comes out. Fun fact number 4. In the famous Here's Johnny scene, the door that they used originally was a prop door and was supposed to easily be broken. What they didn't know, however, was that Jack Nicholson used to be a volunteer firefighter and was very used to using an axe on a door. So, yeah, they ended up going through like 60 doors because he was just plowing through them too easy. Fun fact number 5. Apparently, Stephen King and Kubrick, I'm not gonna say they had beef, but so first off, King, he was disappointed in the film. I'm not gonna say he didn't like it. He reportedly said that it was fine, it just wasn't his story. At the same token, Kubrick reportedly said that he didn't particularly like King's writing because it was too warm, too emotional, I think was the word he used. And King basically countered with he didn't really like his movies because they were too cold. Hence, he compared the ending to the book being an explosion and Kubrick's ending in the movie being Jack Torrance being frozen over as an example. But King kind of had a point because the book really is an allegory about alcoholism, where the movie is it? He even actually reportedly wanted Jon Voight to play Jack as opposed to Jack Nicholson because he wanted someone who could appear genial at first and then go mad. And if you've seen the movie, yeah, Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson throughout the whole film, as he always is. And that's it. That's today's 5 fun horror movie facts. I will be back next week with a new one. So, yeah, bye. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week's 5 horror movie fun facts, starring yours truly. And we are still in the month of June, so we are going to continue to keep it queer. And this week's movie is like the classic of queer horror movie cinema, The Hunger, with David Bowie. So, fun fact number 1. Bowie actually learned to play cello for this movie, which is only surprising to me because I figured, from whatever planet he came from, they just came out of the pod knowing how to play music. But apparently not. He learned how to play cello for this role. Fun fact number 2. This movie actually spawned a TV show back in 1997, like 14 years after the original movie. It only lasted for about 3 years and had no plot connections to the original film, which is a bummer. It kind of leads me to fact number 3. Fact number 3. Yeah. The author of the book that this movie came from, Whitley Strieber, actually this is the first of a trilogy. The other 2 books are The Last Vampire and Lilith, The Tale of the Vampire Life. Neither of those books have movie sequels, which interestingly enough, there actually was supposed to be a sequel to the ending was actually changed to reflect that. Unfortunately, it never came to be. So, fun fact number 4. Willem Dafoe is in this movie, which is hilarious because it's a fact that I routinely forget about. Here he is. If you blink, you miss him. He's just a very small role. But the interesting thing is that years later, he would be in another movie with David Bowie in 1988's Last Temptation of Christ. No, Bowie does not play Jesus Christ, though that would have been an interesting choice. And finally, fun fact number 5. Let's talk about this scene. If you know, you know. I feel like this scene was the schmexual awakening for many, many Gen Xers. And if you weren't into Susan Sarandon before this point, you definitely were after. But I am so sorry to disappoint you. They use body doubles for this scene. Body doubles in a closed set, so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And that's it. That's today's 5 fun horror movie facts. Join me next week. I will have another. If it's still June, I'll still be doing queer movies. So, yeah. Okay, bye. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week's Friday Horror Movie Fun Facts, starring yours truly. Again, please pardon the sun, it's Texas. Anyway, today we're going to be keeping it queer because it is Pride Month, and for the next bunch of weeks, we're going to keep keeping it queer because Pride. Yeah, so let's just get into it. Today's movie, Jennifer's Body. Fun fact number 1. So the marketing team for this movie was all male, and completely missed the point of this movie. Karen Kurosawa, the director of this film, recalled during one of the pitch meetings, the marketing team asking her to ask Megan Fox to do a live chat on porn sites. Karen Kurosawa begged them not to even mention it to Megan Fox because it's messed up, is what it is. It's yeah. Fun fact number 2. Somewhere out there is a musical for this movie. It's not official or anything. You can find clips of it on YouTube. But yeah, upon finding this out, I personally feel like I need to see this thing. I need to see Jennifer's Body, the musical. Incidentally, trans actress Sis Theodol from American Horror Story is one of the creators of the musical. Fun fact number 3. Okay, so the kiss that Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox have in the movie, both actresses have stated that they really, really enjoyed that whole thing. The kiss and the flirting and all that stuff. They really enjoyed that aspect of it. In fact, Amanda Seyfried was quoted as saying, Jennifer's Body is one of my favorite movies that I've done. It was overlooked in the theaters, but it does have a DVD following. I can't believe nobody wanted to see Megan Fox and me hitting it. They had an extreme close-up of our tongues, and I'm telling you, the thing about that scene is actually really sexy. I think Megan and I kissed really well together. We have similar kissing styles, and it worked. We got it done for the mask. They both were very reportedly into the whole thing. No, they never dated. Sorry. As far as I know, they never dated. Fun fact number 4. All the members of the band Low Shoulder in the movie all have a crescent moon tattoo somewhere on their body, symbolizing that the whole them having to sacrifice a virgin on the crescent moon. And finally, fun fact number 5. Okay, so Diablo Cody, who wrote the screenplay for this, has talked about doing a sequel for it. As early as this year, she's been quoted as saying, "I'm not done with Jennifer's Body. I just need to partner with someone, to partner with people who believe in it as much as I do. And that hasn't really happened yet. I need someone to believe in it who has $1 billion." I mean, the movie bombed, so it's not likely, but who knows? Who knows? Stranger things. And that's it. That's it for this week's fun horror movie fact. Join me next week, because we'll be keeping it queer all month. Okay, bye. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's time for this week's 5 horror movie fun facts, starring yours truly. And I'm feeling nostalgic, so let's get into it. 1979's Amityville Horror. And yeah, this is one that I could probably just do a whole podcast on. But I'm only doing 5 facts, so let's get into it. Fact number 1. The infamous house on 112 Ocean Avenue has been renovated. See, this is based on a true story, this movie. Or so they say. We'll get into that in a minute. But the movie did so well that people actually started going to Amityville, New York to check out the house. And the people of Amityville were not cool with that. They were not cool with any of that. So they redid the house. One of the things they did was redid the house to take away the scary appearance of it. And also, like, the historical society there doesn't even talk about it. Like, they really are not cool with the way that all this went down. And for good reason. Fun fact number 2. So James Brolin and Margot Kidder did not have a lot of fun with this. Margot Kidder has been quoted as saying that she hated this film. Yeah. And James has said that his work prospects like kind of dried up after that. The same reason that Tim Curry's career kind of went down the hill. He played the part too well, and people were like, "No, you are a cruel, horrible person. We don't want it. But that's okay. His career bounced back. It's fine. It's fine now. Fun fact number 3. The famous demonologist Warrens actually investigated the Amityville Horror House back in the... I think that's referenced in Conjuring 2. If you've seen the movie, then you already... Now, the Warrens have described the experience as being one of the most terrifying that they've gone through, and they have been on the first of the front lines to debate whether or not, to debunk whether or not this whole thing was a hoax. Again, we'll get into that in a minute. Fun fact number 4. Okay, so currently there are only 16 sequels to this movie. Now, I know what you're thinking, only 16? Well, there are about 35 Amityville related movies. Only 16 of them are directly related to the original, but there are 35 and counting. The last one that came out sometime last. And you should see some of the titles of these: Amityville Island, Amityville Vampire, Amityville Care. There's even an Amityville Shark House, which I don't know. I kind of want to see that. And finally, fun fact number 5. Okay, so there is a long debate as to whether or not the Lutzes experienced anything that they say they did in that house. Like, a lot of people have debunked a lot of what happened in both the book and the original movie. And to make matters worse, it's kind of on the law books that it's probably a hoax. So George and Kathy Lutz in 1977 ended up suing Ronald DeFeo's lawyer. If you don't know who any of these people are, I don't have time in this video to explain everything. You'll have to look. Anyway, Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s lawyer, William Weber, told people, yeah, I know it's a hoax. We all hashed it out over a bottle of wine, which is why the Lutz, sued him amongst a lot of other people for claiming that it's a hoax. Did the Lutzes win their case? No. The judge ended up dismissing their claims. But yeah, people have been debating it for years, and I guess they're going to continue to debate whether or not any of it was true. The only thing we know for sure is that Ronald DeFeo Jr. did lose his mind and his whole family. That's it. Everything else up for debate. So that's it for today's fun horror movie facts. Baby has just woke up and he says hello. And thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next week. Bye. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is time for this week's 5 horror movie fun facts, starring yours truly. And we're going to keep it a little sexy this last damn May, so let's just jump right into it. This week's movie, X, starring Mia Goth. Fun fact number 1. Okay, so the title of the film obviously points to the rating system, the rating of corn movies. But did you know that the X rating, once upon a time, was not made for corn movies? From about 1968 to 1990, the MPAA used that rating for movies that were designed for people 16 and older. So a lot of movies back in the day had an X rating, but were not pornographic. A prime example would be like A Clockwork Orange, which, while it is an exceedingly violent film, not really pornographic in nature. But back in the day, a lot of corn movies commandeered that rating. So eventually, the MPAA discontinued it and replaced it with NC-17. Fun fact number 2. It took 6 hours to get Mia Goth in the pearl makeup, which is pretty cool because when I first saw the movie, it didn't click to me that Pearl and Mia were the same person. This is a really good makeup. Prosthetics have really come a long way in horror. Fun fact number 3. The movie takes place in Texas, but this film was actually made in New Zealand. And the way you can actually tell is by the moon. A little astronomy lesson for you here. So if you live in the northern hemisphere, this is how we usually see the lunar seas. Lunar seas are like the black spot in the moon that's like old lava, I think. Anyway, if you live in New Zealand, this spot is reversed, which you can see in the film when you look at the... Fun fact number 4, there is a reference to Psycho in this movie. Now, the most obvious reference is they talk about it in one of the scenes. They have a conversation about Psycho. But if you look very carefully, there is a sunken car that looks very much like Marion Crane's car in the movie Psycho. And finally, fun fact number 5. There's a little bit of a hiccup in this movie. There's a scene where one of the characters is drinking from a milk carton, and you can see the missing person thing on the milk carton, which incidentally, the picture on the milk carton is the man found in the basement, you know, later on in the movie. Anyway, this movie takes place in 1979. Milk carton ads were not a thing until 1984. See, the whole missing kid thing didn't really hit the media until like hard, like mainstream media, until like the disappearance of Adam Wall. He disappeared in 1981. There was a movie about him in 1983. The National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children was founded in 1984. And a dairy place in Iowa, whose name I forget, started printing the missing ad. And that's it. Those are 5 fun facts for this Friday. I'll be back next week with another one. Bye! Happy Easter Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week's 5 horror movie fun facts. And are you ready for a werewolf movie? Because I am. Today's movie, Ginger Snaps, yo. Let's get into it. Fun fact number 1. So this movie had a rough time even being made, okay? Like, they had trouble with funding. It came out around the time, like right after Columbine. It was banned in the UK. Critics did not like this movie. Yet still, it ended up being the 5th highest grossing film in Canada in 2001. I mean, when a movie's good, it's good. Period. Fun fact number 2. Director John Fawcett was so against the use of CGI, he didn't use any of it in this movie, which made this movie particularly difficult to film because the special effects, the monster effects were so extensive, but worth it. I mean, there were some like incredible moments that were all special. Like, not for nothing, but shout out to all the girls that showed up to the party, the Halloween party in 2000 in this outfit. If you know, you know. Fun fact number 3. The actresses that played Ginger and Bridget, are sisters in the movie, are practically sisters in real life. Like, not for real, but Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins both auditioned on the same. They were born in the same hospital. They attended the same preschool, elementary school, and private school. And they worked through the same talent agency. So they basically were, they were clearly the universe wanted them to play sisters in this movie. In fact, when screenwriter Catherine Walton saw their auditions, she said they were exactly who I envisioned to play this part. Fun fact number 4. So a lot of the scenes in this movie were shot at night, but they had to use lighting to make it look like daytime. Well, the lighting was so bright that it could actually be seen like a mile up from, like, if you were in a plane and you were flying over the set, you could see what was going on. And finally, fun fact number 5. The movie A Christmas Horror Story does a subtle shout out to this film. A Christmas Horror Story came out in 2015, about 15 years after this movie, and that movie takes place in the fictional town of Bailey Down, which is also the same town that Ginger Snaps takes place in. And a bonus fact, the soundtrack to this movie has some pretty heavy hitters, like in terms of metal music. Saliva, Godhead, Cradle of Filth, Killswitch Engage, Fear Factory. Like, if you're in the early 2000s metal, pretty much the soundtrack, that's basically the sound. And that's it for today's 5 fun facts. Join me again next week. I will have another one for you. Bye! Happy Friday! It is time for another 5 fun horror movie facts with me, Ophelia Crane. And after watching a video where an actual logging truck accident happened, I thought this would be a good series. That's right, you guessed it, kids, the Final Destination film franchise. Now, since there are 5 movies, I decided I would do a fact per movie, because there are a lot of facts chocked into all of these movies, and I could do 100 fun facts about this series, you know. Anyway, let's get it started. Fun fact number 1. Devon Sawa, seen here in the first movie, did such a good job in Final Destinations that this role actually landed him the part of Stan in Stan, in Eminem's video Stan. which is kind of cool. The two things that we all know Devon Sawa from is from that and Stan, and that's awesome. Fun fact number 2, and I need to apologize ahead of time for this one. It kind of messed me. So y'all remember Nora, right? The one that perished in the elevator. You know, she got scared and lost her head a little bit. Well, apparently this is based off of an actual thing that happened. This was Dr. Hitoshi Nikaido. In 2002, in a freak accident, he accidentally got caught between the elevator and the bottom floor as it was going down. Yeah, that's a thing that happened, and now I'm never gonna sleep again. Thank you so much for that. Hey, if I had to know it, you guys had to know it. Anyway, fun fact number 3. The roller coaster scene in Final Destination 3, the actors had to ride that roller coaster 26 times in one night. 26 times. Those are not fear faces. Those are clearly vomit faces. Fun fact number 4. Tony Todd does not reprise his role as William Bloodsworth in the 4th. Due to scheduling conflicts, he was doing other stuff. It happens. Fun fact number 5. Apparently, Ashley Tisdale has been trying to get cast in this movie since the 3rd one. She has auditioned for 3 separate characters in 3, 4, and 5. I don't know, maybe she'll show up in the 6th one. Maybe the producers will feel bad for her and say, yeah, come on down. We'll chop you up in front of the camera. It's fine. And that's it for today's 5 fun facts. With pictures, I'm upping my game. Come back next week. I will have another fun movie for you. Okay, bye. Happy Friday, everybody. It is time for my weekly series, 5 horror movie fun facts, where I give you my favorite fun facts about a horror movie that presumably I've seen. This week's horror movie comes at a special request from one of you. 123 Shika suggested this one in one of her comments on one of my videos. And as it happens, it is one of my favorite movies, like ever, for a bunch of different reasons. So let's get into it. This week's movie is Sinister. Fun fact number 1. To the surprise of no one, this movie was inspired by The Ring. I don't know, some of y'all might be surprised by that. I wasn't, though, given the nature of this movie. But screenwriter C. Robert Cargill got the idea for a script for this movie after a nightmare he'd had after watching the first Ring. Fun fact number 2. Okay, so the snuff films in this movie were all shot on Super 8 film, like actual Super 8 film. In addition to that, a lot of them were done practically, namely the pool party one. All the actors and actresses were actually tied to lawn chairs and were actually pulled into the pool. In addition, the actor that played the monster in this movie, Bagul, had to be underwater. He had to be weighted down and underwater for a period of time, which is crazy because since it was shot on Super 8, they had to make sure everything was on point so they didn't have to reshoot and endanger the actors' lives. Fun fact number 3. Ethan Hawke is really an author, you guys. I know, right? Actor Ethan Hawke has written a number of books. Now, none of them are horror or true crime, but yeah, he's actually got some books out there. Now I feel like I gotta read them. I feel like I gotta see if he can also write as well. Fun fact number 4. Okay, so Deputy So-and-so is never called by name in the movie, obviously. In the credits, he's just credited as the deputy. But fun fact, in Sinister 2, he's credited as ex-Deputy So-and-so, which is hilarious. I love it when they keep a gag going. I really do. And finally, fun fact number 5. Okay, so presumably, this is a movie that would be on didthedogdie.com. If you don't know what that is, that's a website that tells you if an animal dies within the course of a horror movie or any movie. In this one of the families has a chihuahua, and presumably that dog is the only survivor of any of the murder. You know, given that the dog wasn't in the final part of the video where the rest of the family in the Sleepy Time video were. And as a bonus, this movie kind of got to me a little bit. You know, being a horror writer, um, with at the time a daughter who was around the same age as the youngest daughter in the movie. I distinctly remember saying to her, okay, you're not allowed to make me coffee before I go downstairs to write. If you know, you know. And that's it. That's this week's 5 fun facts for horror movies. Tune in next week. I will have another for you. Yeah. Hope it'll be good. I know I gotta work on my sign off. I'll come up with a good one by next week, I swear. Why, hello, everybody. Welcome to my new phone. Isn't the picture better? The picture's so much better. But yeah, last month I was doing 5 fun facts every day for horror noir movies. And I couldn't do the last 2 days because my phone broke. Just to catch you guys up if you haven't seen my last video on. So I got to thinking, since I was cheated out of those last 2 days, maybe I should do a horror movie fun facts every Friday instead. Not just horror noir movies. I will be doing horror noir movies too, but let's broaden our spectrum a little bit. So yeah, every Friday, I'm going to be covering all types of horror from all over the globe. Because, you know, it's my special interest, and I like sharing my special interests with people. And since you guys apparently like hearing about it, yeah. So enough intro. Let's get to today's fun facts. Today's movie, Get Out. Now, Get Out is like kind of took the world by storm, and I know there are a ton of facts about this movie that I'm sure a lot of you already know. So I'm going to try to go for the ones that maybe aren't as common. Maybe you didn't know. Fact number 1. Chance the Rapper liked this movie so much that he bought out showings in Chicago when this movie came out. Just a bunch of theaters, and bought out showings so that people could go for free. He actually tweeted, you know, just pull up and show your ID and enjoy the show. Which, that's the kind of millionaire I want to be, personally, to just be able to do stuff like that. Fun fact number 2. Jordan Peele is the first African-American writer, producer, and director to ever earn more than $100 million in a debut film. And on that note, fact number 3. So dig this. There have only ever been 61 horror movies that have been nominated for an Oscar. Of those 61, only 6 have been nominated for Best Picture. This one was number 6. And while it didn't get Best Picture for that year, it did get Best Screenplay. And on that note, there have only ever been 4 black screenwriters to ever be nominated. Jordan Peele was the only one who won so far. Fun fact number 4. So, okay, in the movie, there is a part where, in the very beginning, where Rose and Chris get pulled over by the cops. And Rose immediately jumps to Chris's defense, you know, that this cop is profiling them and is very, very white ally. Well, that was not because she cared about Chris. She was trying to avoid a paper trail. Had that cop run both of their licenses, it would have come up when he eventually disappears later. Very smart. Very smart. And finally, fun fact number 5. In the scene where Chris is talking to the maid, Marianne, if you look carefully behind him, he's standing in front of a poster, and where he's standing, it blocks out most of the poster to where you can only see the words, Chris is dead. That one gave me chills. And finally, this is a bonus fun fact. And this one's a personal one for me. When I first saw the movie, this movie was the first time that I had any real hope for racial understanding, at least in my community. You know, for a long time, I was becoming very disillusioned about, you know, the whole thing. I saw this movie in a suburban movie theater, and it was packed to the gills. There wasn't a single seat in the house, and the majority of the people that were there were white. In the final scene where Chris is killing Rose, and then the police lights come up, everyone in the theater reacted viscerally. And it wasn't a, oh my God, the good guy is about to be murdered. It was a, oh no. And I distinctly remember thinking, yeah, it's bad, right? Because he's not just gonna get arrested, right? You get it, right? But yeah, you know, this is one of those movies that I could literally go on talking about because there are so many things that made this movie probably one of the greatest movies of all time. It would be on my 100 movies that you should watch list before you die. So that's it. I'll be back next Friday. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Bye. Happy Friday, everybody. It is time for 5 horror movie fun facts with yours truly, Ophelia Curtis. Now, this movie, I feel like I've done this in some manner before, because in my book, it's arguably one of the greatest horror movies that has ever been created. It is on my 100 horror movies you should see before you die list, personal list. And if you haven't seen it, boy, you are in for a treat. So let's get into some 5 fun facts about it. 1982's The Thing. Fun fact number 1. You may have noticed that I said 1982's The Thing. That's because this is a remake. This is a remake of the 1951 movie Thing from Another World, which kind of leads me to fun fact number 2. When this movie came out, it bombed, believe it or not. John Carpenter stated that a lot of the critics gave some pretty harsh reviews of it, but the one that hurt the most was the director from The Thing from Another World, Christian Nyby, who said that, well, this is what he said, and I quote, "If you want blood, go to the slaughterhouse. All in all, it's a terrific commercial for J&B Scott." Fun fact number 3. We all know that the one thing that Kurt Russell loves to do is to grow a beard. Well, this movie would come years before he becomes the Old West Santa Claus that he is now. And it took him about a year to grow that beard for this movie. Probably why he likes wearing a beard so much now, because if it takes you about a year to grow that, I mean... Anyway, fun fact number 4. The special effects in this movie were all practical effects. Because it's 1982. There was no computer generated anything. All of the special effects in this movie were practically, and they were done by a man who can only be a genius, Robert Bowden. Robert Bowden would go on to do other movies, the special effects for other movies like RoboCop, 7, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Game of Thrones, Fight Club, Inner Space, Witches of Eastwick, Legend. Like, I don't know if this dude has any Academy Awards, but clearly somebody has been missing something with him, because like his work is like the benchmark for special effects in horror movies in particular. And finally, fun fact number 5. This fun fact is my favorite of this movie. And if you don't know anything about me, you know that this is the one thing I talk about with The Thing in particular. At the end of The Thing, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know, fast forward, go watch the movie and come back. But at the end of The Thing, Kurt Russell and Keith David are the last ones standing. And Keith David says something to the effect of, "Who do you think we got him? Who was the monster?" And the movie ends. And you walk away thinking they were the last 2 to survive, or, "Oh my God, the black man actually lived to the end of this movie." Well, I am sorry to report that the black man does not live to the end of this movie. They're sitting out outside in the snow when they're having this conversation. And if you watch closely, only one of them, you can only see the breath of one of them. And it's not Keith David. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Here's a bonus. Did you know that it is now a tradition to watch this movie in British Antarctic Research Station? It's a part of their midwinter feast and celebration that happens on June 21st. Personally, I'd be skipping it. I would not want to watch that movie in a research station in Antarctica. No, thank you. No, thank you. And that's it. Gosh, this is a long one today. I'll be back next week with another one. Okay, bye. Happy Friday. It's time for this week's 5 horror movie fun facts with yours truly. Now, this week I want to do something on 1986's April Fool's Day, since April Fool's Day was a few days back. But instead, I decided to do a deep cut. So, let's go into it. Today's movie is 2017's One Cut of the Dead. And this is going to be a tricky one because the best parts of this movie is basically the spoiler. So, I'm going to attempt a spoiler-free 5 fun facts because you guys really should see this movie. It's really awesome. Fun fact number 1. So, this movie only took about 8 days to shoot, and it only cost $25,000. And that clearly paid off because it grossed 25 million, which you love to see. Fun fact number 2. Okay, so one of the reasons why this movie has such a short time that it was shot is that the first 37 minutes of this movie was all done in one take. That process took about 2 days and 6 takes to get right. Fun fact number 3. There's a remake of this movie in 2022, which I actually didn't know about at the time that I'm doing this video. The remake is actually a French movie called Final Cut. The director, whose name I'm totally gonna mess up, Mikhail Hazanavicius. I'm sorry, I really did butcher that. So sorry. Anyway, he wanted to direct a movie like this for a long time, and then he got wind of One Cut of the Dead, which a friend of his actually had the rights. He loved it, and he decided to do a remake. As I understand it, it is nowhere near as good as the original. I haven't seen it, so I can't really see. Fun fact number 4. The original title of this movie is in Japanese. Again, forgive me for this. My Japanese is awful. The title is Kamera wo Tomeru wo na. Basically, it means don't stop shooting, which for a movie that is kind of done mostly in one take, yeah. And fun fact number 5. There's a shout out to David Kubrick's The Shining in this movie, and it's one of those things that you would not notice unless you knew the behind the scenes of Kubrick's shooting of this. So early on in the movie, the director berates one of the actresses for not being sufficiently terrified, enough. That apparently is a shout out to Stanley Kubrick, basically torturing poor Shelley Duvall in The Shining. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He put that poor woman through a lot to get that performance. So yeah, those are the 5 fun facts. Like I said, I highly recommend this movie. And as much as I want to tell you more about this movie, if I did, it would actually ruin everything. This is one of those movies that you want to see without knowing anything about it. These are the places that this movie and Final Cut are available. And One Cut is actually for sure available here. I can't say about Final Cut though. Anyway, that's it for this week. See you guys next week. Hi, happy Friday. I'm sick as a dog. Let's get into the 5 fun horror movie facts. Starring me, Ophelia Crane. Today's movie is May, because it's May. See what I did there? Fun fact number 1. Apparently there are a lot of giallo references in this movie. Well, at least through the lens of one of the characters. The character of Adam, played by Jeremy Sisko, here looking as his most Jeremy Sisko. His character is apparently a big fan. We see posters in the background. He goes to see the movie Trauma. This was on purpose, of course, because we have to give homage to the whole style of movie that is giallo, which this movie kind of reminds me a lot of. Fun fact number 2. The final scene where May and Adam meet in the park is actually a part of a reshoot. So originally, when the scene was shot, May is irritated and cold, and they're walking down the street, and she's kind of in an icky mood. But also, the character Blank is supposed to be with them. So they cut all that up and they re-edit to what it is now, and they cut Blank out. So when you watch that scene, you see her kind of looking off at the off screen somewhere. She's looking at Blank, who's not supposed to be. Fun fact number 3. Director Lucky McGee based the character of May off of Amanda Plummer's performance in Fisher King. He is quoted as saying, "May wouldn't exist if it weren't for Amanda Plummer's character in the Fisher King." Which I do love it when somebody is inspired by somebody else to create art. That really makes me... Anyway, fun fact number 4. And this one's a little bit of a spoiler. So every character that May, with the exception of Adam, they're all unalived some way above the shoulder, including the titular character, May. And finally, fun fact number 5. So there's a really interesting fan theory about this movie. In the scene where May goes to the blind daycare to show off her doll, and the glass of the doll's case is shattered, and the poor little kids get their hands cut up, and it's terrible. It's theorized that May, after this incident, her brain basically breaks, and she starts hallucinating, getting back at all the people that she was trying to get close to, and ultimately did her kind of dirty. Basically, everything from this point in the movie on is going on in her head and not in real life, which is a pretty interesting theory. I'm actually not mad at that theory at all. And that's it for this week's 5 fun horror movie facts. Join me for another one next week. I'll have a very special one where I will be talking about the movie that I want to do for my upcoming horror movie book club. More on that later. Otherwise, have a good weekend. Happy Friday! Welcome to this week's 5 horror movie fun facts, starring yours truly, Ophelia Crane. Now, this weekend is Mother's Day weekend, and you cannot do a fun fact about a horror movie without mentioning the mother of all horror Mother's Day movies. That sounded better in my head. Psycho, because a boy's best friend is his mother. Fun fact number 1. This movie got Alfred Hitchcock sort of banned from Disneyland. See, Alfred Hitchcock wanted to film some of his movies, I guess, at Disneyland, but Walt Disney said, no, you made Psycho, you suck. He called the movie disgusting, which, for me, I really feel like if you call my work disgusting in the horror movie genre, that's a win. A win is a win. Fun fact number 2. The censors were on Alfred Hitchcock's neck because of this. The most famous being the shower scene, which, censors and really everybody were convinced that Janet Leigh was naked. She wasn't. It was body doubles, her in a flesh-colored suit, and none of the shots actually showed the blade actually, or her actual nudity. Like, the most that you see is her belly. But the quick cuts kind of fed the imagination of the viewer. So a lot of people for a while walked around really believing that, they saw some boobies. Also, Alfred Hitchcock got into a little bit of trouble for showing a toilet. Yeah, not someone using a toilet, not just showing a toilet. There's a scene where Marion Crane tears up a piece of paper and puts it in the toilet and flushes it. Well, the censors hated that. Fun fact number 3. This is one of the first instances where an actor's image on screen is kind of used against the audience. Anthony Perkins was considered like, I don't know, Ryan Gosling or Jake Gyllenhaal. He was considered a leading man, the hero of the story, if you will. So when the movie came out, he's the first build. It threw everybody off as far as him being the villain. I don't know why I air quoted that. He is the villain. What the hell? Fun fact number 4. Prior to Psycho, movies showed in movie theaters were shown on rotation. That is, one after the other after the other. And it was really common for people to come in to the theater in the middle of a movie. Hitchcock made all the theaters sign a contract for this movie that nobody could come in late. You had to see this movie at the start of the film. If you came in late, you would have to wait until the next show. That was kind of the beginning of mandatory seating that we have today in movie theaters. And finally, fun fact number 5. So, after this movie's release, Alfred Hitchcock received a letter from an angry father. See, the father's daughter refused to take a bath after seeing the movie Diabolique, is one of Alfred Hitchcock's earlier movies. And now, after seeing Psycho, the daughter refused to take a shower. Alfred Hitchcock's reply? Send her to the dry cleaners. Yeah, Hitchcock, when it came to making movies, he really did give absolutely no fuck. And that's it for today's 5 fun facts. I hope you enjoyed this. But wait, don't go anywhere yet. I got something to tell you guys. I'm doing a horror movie book club next Saturday. Not this Saturday, next Saturday, the 18th. If you want to join in, all you got to do is show up and talk about the movie The Lie. I'm going to put up another video kind of announcing it just because, just in case some of you didn't stick around for the end of this video to find it. But yeah, I'm doing it live, May 18th, 8 p.m. Central Time. Be there. Talk with me. Have fun. And that's it. Have a happy Mother's Day weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Happiest of Fridays, everybody. Please excuse the light coming in from my window. It's like Texas, but it's time for another Friday 5 fun horror movie facts. Brought to you by yours truly, me. Let's jump right into it with horror movie fans' favorite gut punch movie, The Mist. And there will be spoilers because you can't talk about The Mist without talking about the end. So, fun fact number 1. Frank Darabont turned down a $20 million buy-in for this movie. A producer came to him with a $20 million contract to make this movie on the provision that he changed the end. And if you've seen this movie, you know exactly why he turned it down. He went with another company, Dimension, I believe, who ended up giving half of that, at least, but it paid off because, damn. Fun fact number 2. So one of the simplest special effects, wait, let me rephrase that. One of the more simple looking special effects in this film actually took a while to get. The dock scene where the door rolls open and the mist stays at the door, that was done practically. And it took a minute to do because they had to figure out the air pressure, to keep the mist out of the room, which is pretty great, when we live in an age where they could have just CGI'd it. Nope, practical effect. Fun fact number 3, several of the creature designs, including the big giant one at the end, were designed by Bernie Wright. You don't know who that is. He was a comic book stylist who is, or was, the co-creator of Swamp Thing. He also did work on Justice League, a lot of other DC comic stuff, TV series is included. And he worked in the art department for 1984's Ghostbusters, Heavy Metal, Reign of Fire. Well, Reign of Fire, he was in special effects. But the point is, he did his R.I.P. He passed away in 2017. Fun fact number 4. This is Frank Darabont's 3rd Stephen King adaptation. First one being The Green Mile, the second one being Shawshank Redemption, and the third one being this, The Mist. Incidentally, the character that plays Jim, William Sadler, is also in all 3 of these movies. And finally, fun fact number 5. Okay, so the ending of The Mist was not in the original short story. I believe you can find the original short story in Stephen King's anthology collection. I believe it was Skeleton Crew. I didn't look that part up. I'm just going by memory. But anyway, in the introduction to Skeleton Crew, Stephen King actually made a statement that he wasn't entirely happy with the ending of The Mist, but he welcomed whoever, if they could find a better ending for it, go for it. Frank Darabont clearly said, "Hold my beer." Stephen King loved the ending so much that he said that he was genuinely frightened by the adaptation, to which Frank Darabont was like, "This is the happiest moment of my life. This is like the best thing ever." And I'm not mad at him. If Stephen King read one of my books and said that it sucked, I think I would faint. But anyway, that's it for today's 5 fun facts. Tomorrow is my first horror movie book club. The movie is The Lodge. You got a day to watch it if you want to participate. And otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Happy Friday! It is time for today's 5 horror movie fun facts, brought to you by me. I was feeling a little nostalgic today, so we're going to go with an oldie but a goodie. Today's movie, Poltergeist. Fun fact number 1. So one of the scariest scenes in Poltergeist that has scarred so many of us is the clown scene, and also the tree outside the room in little Robbie's bedroom. Both of those come from Steven Spielberg. These are the things that terrified him as a child. Fun fact number 2. So actor James Karen was also a spokesman for Pathmark Supermarket. James Karen, if you remember, played the real estate guy, the partner of Craig T. Nelson's character that sold them the house and the property of West Severa. Well, after starring in that movie, he got a whole lot of hate mail from people saying they would never shop at Pathmark supermarkets because of how he treated the family in Poltergeist. Yeah. Fun fact number 3. Drew Barrymore was up for the part of Carol Ann. In the end, Steven Spielberg decided to go with Heather O'Rourke because he felt like she was more angelic. Not to worry though, Drew Barrymore ended up scoring Gertie and E.T., I think like a year later. Fun fact number 4. Okay, so everybody knows that there were real skeletons used in the swimming pool scene. And what's interesting about it is that Tobe Hooper didn't think anything of it when he did it, mainly because he used real skeletons for his last movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And no, Jo Beth Williams was not aware of this at the time. She didn't find out till later. And finally, fun fact number 5. Let's talk about the Poltergeist curse for a second. Poltergeist is kind of widely known as being a cursed movie because so many people died during the making. In actuality, only like 4 actors died in the entire series. And 3 of those actors died because of illness. Dominique Dunn was the only one who was, she unfortunately was unalived in her driveway by a boyfriend shortly after the making of this. Heather O'Rourke, as we all know, passed away of intestinal stenosis. The other 2, Will Sampson and, I forget the guy's name. This guy, this guy? Both of them passed away from illness. The guy who played Kane in part 2, in particular, while he was filming, and this is a bonus for you, while he was filming, he had stomach cancer, which is pretty much why he looked so emaciated. It added to the whole. And that's it for today's 5 fun facts. Tune in next week. I'll have another one for you. Bye. Happy Friday. For some of us, welcome to another installment of my weekly series, 5 Fun Horror Movie Facts, where I give you 5 facts about my favorite horror movie. So let's get into it. Today's movie, Vamp. Fun fact number 1. Grace Jones has no lines in this movie. None. She's on the cover. She's in the movie. She's the main point of interest of this movie. Has no line. The reason being is that this was actually Grace Jones' idea. She wanted to emulate the silent film techniques from Max Schreck's Nosferatu. Fun fact number 2. The human-like chair that she does her performance on is actually made from a body cast of Dolph Lundgren, who Grace was dating at the time. Fun fact number 3. Shooting for this movie started on January 28th, 1986. If you're wondering why that date is significant, it's because it's the same date as the Challenger disaster. I mean, I guess the show has to go on. Moving on. Fun fact number 4. Tina Turner was up for the role of Katrina, the vampire in this movie. Which, no tea, no shade towards Tina Turner or nothing, but I'm kind of glad it went to Grace Jones. Fun fact number 5. Okay, so the paint design on on Grace Jones' body, as well as on the weird chair in the movie, was done by graffiti artist Keith Haring. And that kind of leads me to my bonus fact. Spoiler alert for those of you that have not seen this past week's Drag Race. Nymphia Wind, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's not a fun fact. I just needed somebody to come look at that. That actually might be my favorite outfit in all of Drag Race. It's Vamp. She even did the Keith Haring thing. It's perfection. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. And I will have another 5 fun facts for you next week. Bye.